Good morning, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I'm still in a little recovery mode, so my speaking is a little scratchy, but we're going to start with a poem today and then do a little chit-chat about it afterwards. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into our poem, Sweet Darkness by David Whyte. Many of you know this poem. I read it on the other channel. It's a very important poem to me and very timely to me right now, and I imagine maybe to some of you out there as well. It's from his book, House of Belonging. Anyway, we're just going to start with this poem. Sweet darkness. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all other worlds except the one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Okay. Didn't even wear my glasses. That last line packs a punch. I have that poem almost completely memorized. But here's the thing. I've seen him in person read and speak about this poem several occasions. He always goes back to one thing. He's the author of this poem. It's a very easy interpretation of this poem to think, you're too small for me. Aren't you too small for me? Aren't I bigger than you? But that's not really what he's meaning here. That's like kind of a bit of a quick, sort of cheap interpretation of it. He talks, when you hear him talk about this poem, he talks about how have we made ourselves too small for ourselves. It's not about like, oh, I'm bigger than you or you're smaller than me. It's really not about that. To me, I woke up thinking about this poem today. To me, it's more about how have I outgrown that relationship, situation, myself, that identity, that sense of purpose. How have I outgrown my own sense of purpose? How have I outgrown relevancy? How have I outgrown fill in the blank? That's the perspective that makes more sense to me. Sometimes it takes getting kicked into a hole, fall into a hole, jump into a hole as a seed drops or a bulb. I'm getting ready to plant all my spring bulbs, has to go deep into the ground to stay alone, still, no visible signs of anything. There's not even a root coming yet or a sprout coming yet. It's just a seed. It's just a bulb, but it needs that quiet, that confinement of the earth around it. It needs that darkness, that sweet darkness, in order for all those other things to happen. At first, it can feel scary to feel alone like that and to feel isolated like that. It can be scary. And what I could tell you from recent experience, there was both a kicking and a leaping on my part into that hole. And like, whew, okay, where am I now? And after time, after surrendering to that, okay, here I am now place, there is a comfort that comes. There is a safety that is felt. There is, because there is all this on the surface. You did this, you did that, all that, all the voices shouting their bad advice, back to Mary Oliver's poem, mend my life. And you're getting more and more committed to this place of potential while all that distraction is going on up there. It starts to become like Charlie Brown's teacher. You can't even articulate the words anymore. You can't hear the articulation of the words. It's just noise. It's just literally just noise that turns into vibration, that turns into nothing. As you're waiting. Back to the surrender thing, with a totally absence of expectation for the totally perfect thing to occur. So sometimes, some things that I'm contemplating that are related to this poem is that sometimes when you outgrow something, your world actually gets smaller. Isn't that a paradox? Outgrowing something, you actually get smaller, more focused, more internal, less about what this person needs, what this person wants, what this person thinks, what this person, what I should, this should be my next steps. I'm turning 65 next week, and my life is filled with potential right here in this moment of something new, a new sense of purpose in my life, a new sense of relevancy. How am I relevant? I know that it wasn't that. And I'm still in the, what is it going to be? And I am now filled with a feeling of potential. It's not fear. It's not like, oh my, I'm scared, I'm down here all by myself feeling. It's like, you don't get much more potential in this world than a seed or a bulb that's going to produce a beautiful tulip or like a huge lily or something. But it starts as this small thing that doesn't have any connection to anything else. It doesn't have a root yet or a stem or anything. It's just this thing that's dropped into the earth. Waiting, because it needs the time, it needs the depth, it needs the surrounding of nothing but darkness in order to drop the roots, to develop this. All that needs to happen before the flower. But that thing is bursting with potential. So that sweet darkness is essential for a life force to go through all the stages. Sometimes we want to skip all those stages. Some people think they can pluck somebody else's flower and stick it into their own ground. How well does that work out? Things have to have their own sense of development and their own sense of what it is that they need. We do as people. So anything or anyone that does not bring us alive is too small for us. And in my case, that was a certain path that I stuck my toe on, and then the waves started carrying me along, and they carried me into treacherous waters that were not mine. Let me tell you, when you either dip your toe into something or fully commit to jumping into that hole, to embracing that next phase, that going into that dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own, when the decision is made, there's a sense of rightness. There is a sense of, I'm scared as hell, but I know that this is right for me. Like I said before, when I decided to shut down that other channel, I had two options in front of me. One of them was kind of like a halfway step, and one of was full commitment. And I absolutely knew, I'm like, I can take that other halfway step, but that's not correct. That's not what my soul is. It was just an absolute knowing. And we all have that, but we don't hear it when we're listening to all the other chatter around us. We just can't hear that calling. In my case, I heard it very clearly. I had no ambivalence. That's how it should be. There should be a sense of rightness, a sense of correctness. Now, we have that all the time and avoid it, I mean, how many times have we been in a bad relationship and decided, walked up to that edge and we know damn well that it's time to leave it. But like, no, 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 no. It's hard to leap into that unknown, into that void, into that hole in the dirt. It's hard to make that leap. It is, even when we know it's the right thing. But there comes a time when like we don't really have an option. It is boom, we're there. And this is a way to navigate that, this poem to me, because it's like, okay, I can be here and be a victim and be like, oh, poor me, I'm here all by myself. Or I can be here and fully embody that and say, okay, I'm here now. This is where I'm here. This is where I'm going to be. And I'm going to wait and see what my next steps are. I'm going to wait and see what life has in store for me. I'm going to wait to see what the trajectory of my purpose on this planet is going to reveal to me. And I'm just going to listen and pay attention. And I'm not going to try to climb out of this hole before I've set down my roots. Right? I think that happens too. Is like, oh, I hear everybody up there. They seem to be having a good time. Well, it's not your good time. It is not your good time yet. Yet you can rip yourself out with all those little tiny tendrils of roots forming, and guess what? You're just going to be. It's not a pathway to a very satisfying life. I'm looking forward to, at this phase of my life, having a renewed sense of what I'm here on this planet to do, to be, to accomplish, to offer. Sometimes we just have to know what it's not, where we don't fit. So yeah, I'm feeling like I outgrew something in order to get smaller. And maybe that'll resonate with somebody else out there. But sometimes the outgrowing with something is getting smaller. This is showing up in my life in so many ways. A big conversation I had with my husband the other day was about like, I don't want to do big trips anymore. We did a lot of travel and we have the time and the means to travel, and we've had big dreams of like these big vacations around the world and stuff like that. But our heart is calling us more into a more quiet phase. And like, it was just so liberating to say that out loud to my husband, who was like, I'm so glad that you're saying that. Yeah, we're getting on a plane for my birthday. We're flying somewhere for one night and flying back on this wild adventure. And I said to him, I said, we can have as much fun with that as like some big 3-week trip somewhere, is just an adventure, but then coming back home. There's just something about coming back home. I said, I got to be honest with you, when we're on these trips, I'm always just longing to be home. And like, that's just the phase. That is what is right now. And so like the outgrowing is the outgrowing of this big life into a much more intimate life with ourselves. And who knows what's going to be born out of it. But you know what? If that's all it is, that's enough. If that's all it is, that is enough. Not everybody has to be a big splash in the world, And even though people might be pulling you, trust me, there's been pulls on me. Come this way, come that way, do this, do that. And I'm like, I'm staying as a seed. I'm staying filled with potential. And that's an amazing feeling you have, you guys, filled with potential and listening only to my own voice and what is coming to me through the signs of serendipity. And, I'm not saying there's no input from the rest of the world or other people. I'm just saying what I'm listening to, what in terms of guiding me. So this poem has had a huge impact on me. I'm going to read it one last time. I hope this little talk about it has impacted some of you out there. The easy way to interpret that is anything or anyone that does not bring me alive is too small for me. I'm too big for all of you. That's not how we wrote it, and that's not how we meant it. Not to say you can't take it like that. There's ways to take things like that. But I just caution you to go a little deeper into it. And yeah, it might be that like, yeah, I've outgrown you, but it's not this kind of a thing. It's just this kind of a thing. I've outgrown you. I'm like, oh, I'm on another road altogether, another planet altogether sometimes. All right, I'm going to read it one last time and then sign off. But thank you for joining me for a Poetry Medicine Cabinet today. And hope my COVID recovery here wasn't too annoying. Sweet Darkness by David Whyte. When your eyes are tired, the world is tired also. When your vision has gone, no part of the world can find you. Time to go into the dark, where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than your eyes can see. The night will give you a horizon further than your eyes can see right now. That's that potential. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all other worlds except the one to which you belong. And you may not know that just yet, but you'll find it. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything or anyone, including yourself, that does not bring you alive is too small for you. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. And hope everybody's doing well out there. I sure am. The leaves have changed. They're almost all fallen off the trees, and we're getting into the beautiful barren look of winter, which I absolutely love. Anyway, happy November.